Okay, welcome back to Live Impact News. Now, obviously, the Artemis II, a couple days into its trip to the moon, the first time that we've been that far into space in 50 years, where it's going to circle the moon, which will take it likely farther than any human being has ever traveled into space. And the information gathered from this Artemis II mission will help take steps towards landing a person on the moon. Once there's a person on the moon, hopefully the next step is maybe a more permanent settlement on the moon, and then maybe a few steps after that, the moon is used as sort of a stopping point between Earth and Mars. So this is the first step. Well, it's been many steps in our journey into space as humanity, but this is the first step, the first new step, I suppose, towards a very, very real initiative here in our cosmos. And yesterday, right after our stream ended, we were lucky enough to talk to NASA expert Dr. Joe Westlake. He's a Heliophysics Division Director, and he was able to give us more insight into this mission. Let's go to Dr. Westlake now and our interview with him that we filmed yesterday evening. Wonderful. Excellent.
Can you hear me okay?
We are going to get started there then. Naya, are we ready to get started? Okay, then we will do in 3, 2, 1. We are here with Dr. Joe Westlake, a Heliophysics Division Director, who joins us now to talk a little bit more about the Artemis II mission that took off on Wednesday afternoon. It was quite a moment. You know, Dr. Westlake, I want to start there. We won't get too technical right away because especially in your line of work and what you do and what your passion and professional obligation are, what does it mean to you on a personal level to see this happen and to be at this stage of development and kind of get to witness the spectacle of it all yesterday?
So I wasn't around when we launched humans to space the last time, humans to the moon the last time with the Apollo era. In this case, watching those 4 astronauts lift off of here from the Cape, watching the power of the Space Launch System and the Artemis, and watching everything go forward there was, I mean, frankly, just amazing. It was so emotional, you know, brought a tear to your eye kind of thing, and just so proud of all the work that we've done here at NASA. So proud of our engineers, of our team, and of these astronauts, and frankly, just excited to see what's next.
And let's talk about what's next. They are headed to the moon. They're headed further than humans have ever been into space. What are the most critical aspects of this mission? I know we won't be landing on the moon, but what are the most important things we hope to gain here?
Yeah, so this is the second test flight of the Artemis program, and this is the first time that we've had a crew on board in which we're actually going to wring out some of the functionality of the Orion capsule. We're going to get them out to the moon. We're going to get them into a nice swing by, bring them back, allow them to get some science and some understanding from the far side of the moon, some unique objectives as they go out and come back. But really, they're going to test out all the capabilities of that Orion capsule as we prepare to really get that permanent lunar presence with the lunar base and to move further and further out on our first steps towards putting humans on Mars.
And when it comes to a lunar base, I mean, what needs to occur for that to become a reality? What's the checklist of things, broad things, to ensure that we can have a lunar base? I mean, it sounds almost impossible just hearing that thought.
Yeah, it sounds impossible, but I'm pretty sure we at NASA here are up for the impossible. So over and over again, we've landed a multitude of things over the last year on the moon. We've been working towards getting that more permanent presence with our commercial lunar program, and we've been moving towards getting logistics and all sorts of other things. Really, the next steps are to wring out some of our capabilities with Artemis and Orion. We're going to get towards operating some of that in low Earth orbit with Artemis III. We're going to get towards landing in the further Artemis missions, and then getting towards that permanent human presence on the moon as we build out all of the pieces and the capabilities going forward.
And it's so, well, first of all, I think you may have coined something there for NASA. I believe you said something along the lines of, at NASA, we do the impossible or something like that. That was good. Copyright that, write that down. I really enjoyed that. Now, I know we're getting out a little ahead of ourselves. We will get back to the Artemis II here in just a second. But are you able to give me a realistic picture of what life on the moon would look like for someone who's a part of that sort of permanent settlement?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I think, you know, if you think about how the Apollo astronauts experienced life on the moon, it was sort of a short trek and a short understanding. as we get more and more towards a permanent presence, some things will become routine, but also, there's some new knowledge and some new understanding that we need. In my field of heliophysics, one of the big things that we need is the ability to predict and forecast the space weather for those astronauts for that longer term presence. So being able to predict the activity from the sun, being able to give our astronauts fair warning ahead of time, similar to what you get on the plane. You get on the plane, you want to know whether there's going to be turbulence, whether there's going to be, any issues on the way going forward. As we fly into space, we're going to want to have that understanding as well.
When it comes to space weather, what are we on the lookout for? I would imagine it's not quite as simple as hurricane projection here on Earth or things of that nature, thunderstorm warnings and things like that. What about weather in space? Do we know, and do we need to protect ourselves from in a situation like the Artemis II?
Yeah, so over the last 50 plus years, we've been building up that knowledge and that experience and expertise to understand how the sun operates, understand the dangers of outer space, understand the conditions in which these astronauts are going to go through. We've built up a fleet of spacecraft that we've sent up to really give that advanced warning. I have a multitude of spacecraft that are at the Sun-Earth L1 point, about 1 million miles away from the Earth, always sitting upstream of us from the sun and giving us that advanced warning system, similar to what you talked about on the hurricane side. As we've built out a lot of this data, our forecast knowledge, our understanding together with the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center gives us a lot of foresight, a lot of understanding, and a lot of the capability to be able to give these astronauts time to shelter in place, time to get behind things, or time to be safe. And really, that's something that's been an advancement since the Apollo era. And as we move out towards this lunar base and towards, putting humans on Mars, this is our next step in heliophysics. How do I get from I see something come off of the sun to I think in the future there's going to be this percentage chance of a solar flare, of a coronal mass ejection, of space weather that could impact these astronauts. We're getting there. We're making progress.
Absolutely. It's great to see, and hopefully more progress to come with this particular mission. When it comes to either the Artemis II and its mission, space weather in particular, or just our sort of exploration of the cosmos, what would you say is the biggest maybe misconception that the average person has about this industry?
I think probably the biggest misconception is the misconception that we aren't flying as much as we are, that getting into space is so new, or various other things. I think we're constantly flying here from the Cape. Since I've been down here, I have seen 3 launches, including our Artemis launch. We're constantly putting things up into space. Our understanding of outer space and the science that's coming down from that, our understanding of our world, our environment, the magnetosphere, the space weather is constantly changing, constantly going for the better. And frankly, we've got the best minds here at NASA working on it.
Well, Dr. Westlake, you have helped our understanding of all those things tremendously by joining us here for a little bit. Enjoy the rest of this mission. Good luck to you in all of your work, and we appreciate you hanging with us here on Live Impact News.
Yeah, thank you so much. Be sure to join us on nasa.gov as we go forward.
Yes, absolutely, and we'll make sure to include that later on as well. NASA.gov to keep track of the Artemis II, a historic mission started yesterday and will continue on for years and years with the impact. Okay, we are going to toss it from me back to myself. This is today, Connor. That was yesterday, Connor. We are now back in the Live Impact studio here in real time. We really appreciate Dr. Joe Westlake spending a little bit of time with us yesterday to help us learn a little more in depth about what we're doing out there. Space weather in particular, a really interesting aspect of this entire mission, just of the whole concept, right? You think about, there are so many different aspects of space that you can think about, including our existential place in the cosmos and what it all means. But then you boil it down to the nuts and bolts, and it's, oh yeah, we got to worry about space weather too. So there's so much to discuss here. And